Wow. Okay. A little bit different today. So, what we're going to be doing today is pretty much what we did for our 25th podcast. And that's going to be a review over the first or whatever, like the 25 iterations of podcasts that we have done so far. So, hey, everyone, it is Spencer again. You guys all know me. I've been in every podcast. But today we're going to be doing exactly as I said. Plus, I'll be doing a little bit of life review, and I guess doing a small retrospective over what healthy dialogue should be about and how we keep generating content moving forward. So I think I had nothing but praise for like the first 25 podcasts that we had. And so a lot of those topics were pretty much the passion ideas as to why we like started Healthy Dialogue podcasts as to begin with. Unfortunately, our Discord community hasn't had the same amount of growth, which, to be fair, it's just a platform to be able to speak openly about different things. But the problem with the platform and that like other applications out there who have like other people who have this social media idea to be able to implement once they go live, they're usually lacking in volume. So in some instance, or rather in some perspective, I guess it's pretty natural that we don't have the volume or people haven't seen the need for the Healthy Dialogue Discord server to be a part of their lives, and capitalizing on that opportunity, which is completely fine. I know the internet is timeless, so if it becomes like a favorable platform for people to participate on, then by all means, I'm sure that volume will rise up to where it should be. But as of right now, I don't think there's much elevated value that it could bring, but it needs the work. It really does need the work to be able to move forward. I know like a year ago, I had this idea about having or rather it wasn't my idea, but rather Isabel's, definitely one of my close friend, as well as someone that I've spoken of in the appreciation podcast. But she mentioned the idea of like an anonymous messaging system, and I think that should definitely be the case. I've been wrapping my head around different ways to use Discord's functionality, and perhaps the idea of a bot that I should be able to utilize or generate myself, to make like an anonymous messaging system. And the way you would do that is you would I think the idea that I have in the works is everyone is generated like their own personal room on the fly. And when that happens, they're able to message within that channel where it's just themselves and like a bot. And they're able to post a message in there, make edits to it. The bot will also reflect that echoing message to like a public channel where everyone's able to see that. But instead of from the person, it'll be the bot publicly posting that message on the platform, really. So yeah, that's my current idea in the works. The only problem is that I think you're only allowed a certain amount of voice channels and text channels. So being able to generate unique ones on the fly while also deleting ones when they're not being used is what I should be trying to utilize in the future. Anyhow, so as I was saying about the Discord, or just Healthy Dialogue as a brand. So the Discord definitely needs some work if it was supposed to be, or if we're going to get it to a point where it's going to be useful for other people or utilized for other people to use. However, the podcast material, I think, has shrunk down quite a bit. And I think some ideas that I'll have for the future in terms of where or how I'm going to be even utilizing the podcast will probably be more of a scarce situation where perhaps I even mow it back down to like whenever I feel like it, which isn't a great time to be able to provide free resources for other people. But I will say the content's been a little bit dry. I think there are situations that come up every once in a while, but the people that I chat with all the time, I think use a lot of the energy, or rather I use a lot of my energy of talking capacity, idea generation, towards the group of people that I currently surround myself with now. I'm also expanding my network as we speak, so I have a lot of people that from like different apps that I've been using. There's this app called Boo, and it's like a social media, it's branded as like a social media platform for like intellectuals or people who want to have like philosophical discussions. But you know, a lot of people don't really come through in terms of the kind of capacity that I was hoping for, but some people do. So it's refreshing to see those people, and I have some idea that some of those people there will come to this podcast. I have advertised myself and the brand on my profile, so you know, I have no doubts that some of the people who listen to these episodes within like the recent 2-3 months have probably taken a visit at at the podcast. So I actually, if that's any one of you guys listening right now, thank you for listening. I do know from our Spotify metrics the kind of age range that has been influenced, I suppose, to listen in. So I do see new people coming in. I don't know how they made it here. I just know that in a few places I've advertised this podcast and it's come through. So that's great to see, and I'm happy to have this as like a continual resource for other people out there, or maybe just like a refreshing ear for others who, I guess, want to hear something that is not coming from their own mouth or the people around them. So I'm very happy to provide perspective in the way that I think is meaningful. The problem is that I feel like I'm running out of useful perspective. It'd be nice to be able to go over like different things again, but in terms of the realm of things that I actually care about, we're looking at like software, looking at like problem solving, mental health, physical health, managing your network. These are all stuff that I've just been speaking on behalf of since like day one. I was very inspired to hold the communication complexity one because I think there are a lot of dimensions to communication that contribute to your ability to network with people. And so my first attempt at that, being the second podcast, was pretty much me trying to go over as much as I could. So since then, we've been doing a little bit about, I guess, like being, like communicating with your network to some extent. So like my 42nd one, we had feedback. 41 is social anxiety. What else? We had a couple open discussions on depression, which was our 37 one, reviewing life tips. That's not necessarily, oops, not the right one. And then we had like a bit of life finding podcast, which I don't know if we're necessarily helpful, but like we have the finding meaning one. We had the progressing your identity. Ooh, our 24th was answering the call to responsibility. And then we also have the 48th one, which is taking agency. So we've got a nice spanning range of, I guess, the same topics as like the first 25. So, but yeah, I think in terms of different content that I'm able to generate for myself, I don't think there's necessarily ones that I'm particularly too invested in to continue going afterwards. So I think in terms, I guess, as like an official statement of moving forward, I think what I'll try and do is whenever I have like a passion topic that I want to talk about, I'll make sure to utilize this platform to then speak on behalf of that. So, and that's what I guess that's what healthy dialogue is all about, is knowing when you can contribute the discussion as well to where it's like meaningful to you. Because if it ends up being draining, which it kind of is at this point to me, because I feel like I'm throwing out content all the time without perhaps too much of the passion that I used to have. If I don't have that passion, is it worthwhile for me to keep putting out content? It's hard to know. But yeah, I think it'll just be variable at this point in time to when I'll just be throwing content out. I will make the promise that I do want to keep throwing out content. I just need to make sure that the passion is there as I go into the discussion or the podcast. So as of recently, because so that I suppose that's my review of the of the last 25 episodes. In terms of, I guess, some very recent stuff, I went to Vegas last week, and that was a great time with Alon. Unfortunately, we didn't have a podcast because we were definitely very not capable of doing anything on our trip. We were dead. We were moving around, and just having a good time. So that's pretty much what I was doing back then, or all of last weekend, Labor Day weekend. And I met a lot of cool people while I was there. And I had to give a lot of gratitude towards like my network, of the snapshot of my idea of the network that I have, because so many people can communicate well, they respond to me well, they can bounce ideas off like incredibly well. So like intellectually wise, communication wise, emotion wise, they could match me. And that's like my current network. I expanded that a little bit through the people that I met at Vegas. So the group that I was a part of, I was a +1 of a +1. And that was that was a great time. But yeah, it wasn't really my place to be like networking with everyone there, but I ended up doing it anyways, and I think I made some pretty good connections. So yeah, that was great. In terms of work, I got out of my boot camp, and I'm trying to get started on integrating with the team and how to be able to do that. So that's pretty much where I'm at life-wise. But every day I'm pretty much chatting with either my main group of friends, some other friends, and like the San Francisco crew. So I'm always surrounded by people while I'm also like networking and looking out for new people too. So yeah, it's been a great time. I don't think there's much more to say. Yeah. I did want to make this one short because it is just a recap of the different ones that we did. I don't know if the discussions really came out too well in terms of the last 25 episodes, but hopefully in the next 25, it'll be a lot stronger. I can feel more confident about looking back at the 25 episodes and knowing that like I did something great. I know I was partially in school for pretty much the last 25 episodes and when they came out, but now I'm full-time employed. So one thing that I do need to do is like some house reviews, or rather some house marketing. That's one of the topics that I've been meaning to get around to. So maybe in the next time we'll be doing some like reviewing house prices. So we shall see. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for me for today. I know it's very short, but I'll see you